Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Chapter 5, Fearful Symmetry.
Rorschach breaks into Moloch's apartment. He wants to learn more about the list of names Moloch mentioned. He stuffed Moloch into the refrigerator to frighten him into telling secrets. But Moloch says he doesn't know anything. Rorschach releases him and tells him how to talk to him just in case he remembers something. Detectives Stephen Fine and Joe Burquin investigate a double homicide. A father killed his 2 daughters while his wife was present. The father said he was worried about nuclear war. At the newsstand, the news vendor talks about how the goddamn war is screwing everything up. Meanwhile, Adrian is on his way to a meeting when someone shoots his assistant. The assassin takes a deadly pill before Adrian can interrogate him. Rorschach goes to Moloch's apartment after he receives the note. When he gets there, he finds Moloch dead, with a bullet hole in his forehead. Police officers are warned of what is going on. As police officers barrel into the house, Rorschach makes a flamethrower out of some kitchen supplies. He manages to escape the officers inside the apartment, but he can't escape the flames. So he decides to jump out the window, but below, the officers surround him and rip off his mask.
The title Fearful Symmetry comes from William Blake's poem, The Tiger. The title reflects the structure of the chapter, where the second half of the chapter is the reverse image of the first. Page 1 and 28 and page 2 and 27 reflect each other, and pages 14 and 15 are a direct mirror of each other. The image on the far right demonstrates different perspectives of the same scene. The vertical long image divides the page in two by splitting one image onto both pages. The most prominent allusion used in this chapter comes from William Blake's poem, The Tiger, which is referenced in the title and at the end of the chapter. In his poem, the tiger represents the evil in this world, and the phrase, fearful symmetry, is Blake's way of questioning the creation of evil by God when God is only supposed to create beauty and perfection. The line referring to symmetry connects the theme of the poem to Rorschach, as symmetry is a big connection to his mask. It is also symbolic of his animalistic tendencies to act impulsively and with the raw violence.
Throughout the chapter, there are many repeated signs and symbols. The skull and crossbones are just one of the signs that gets illustrated constantly throughout the chapter. The skull and crossbones is mirrored into puddles, put on signs, on walls, and put on paper. The constant placement of symmetry and mirroring of the images and characters creates motifs and symbols within the chapter that should catch the eye of a reader. At the beginning of the chapter, the first 3 images are puddles that alternate between red and blue. The puddles have a newspaper in the corner and a king-eye diner takeout box below. Later on in the chapter, the 3 puddles are repeated again, but this time the newspaper is torn apart, but the takeout box still remains in the bottom of the corner. The symbol of Buddha is repeated a couple times in the chapter as well.
Mirror images are found on every page of this chapter, but its most prominent use is with the physical layout of the chapter. A few key examples from the novel of mirror images are from the first panel on page 1 and the last panel on page 28, which is the last page of the chapter. The second panel on the first page also corresponds with the second to last panel on page 28 with the phrase, "Everything balances," ending a chapter all about symmetry. Page 14 and 15 are completely symmetrical: the heads, the bodies, and the blood. The characters' bodies form a curvature around the middle panel, and the blood inside the middle panel is on the same spot as the smile on the first issue cover.
On pages 11 and 18, we see Rorschach's true face. Page 10 shows the view from behind of Dan and Lori having a conversation, while on page 19 we see the front of them. Full page 7 and full page 22, we can see something interesting. There's not only the cross symmetry between the pages, but some correspondence with them. For example, page 7 ends and begins with the same frame, like Fearful Symmetry chapter, and like the whole Watchmen story. The last panel in the graphic novel shows a smile with some ketchup on it while someone looks at Rorschach's diary, while the first panel of issue number 1 shows a smile with some blood on it while we read some words from Rorschach's diary. It's circular narrative, something very frequent in Watchmen and in Alan Moore's work.
The 3 panels are almost the exact same as the ones that opened this chapter. However, the Gunga dinner box next to the puddle is now flattened. The newspaper on the opposite side of the puddle that was intact is now torn up and worn away by the rain and the passerby.
Another motif is the shadow of the Hiroshima lovers. The shadow is placed on walls and near graffiti. The shadows represent the shadows of people after the Hiroshima nuclear bomb went off. Since Rorschach likes symmetry, he probably wouldn't like the graffiti with different images on each side. The Buddha is symbolic of Ozymandias. Ozymandias is a sonnet written by Percy Bysshe. The sonnet is a powerful statement about the insignificance of human beings through the passage of time. Ozymandias creates metaphors for political power and how it plays a role in the world, which plays into the whole idea of who watches the Watchmen within the novel. The symbol of the pink triangle comes from Nazi Germany, where gay men were made to wear pink triangles, lesbians would wear black triangles. The pink triangle was used as a symbol for all homosexuals. The usage of the pink triangle was seen as sexist by some. The black triangle is preferred by some militant lesbians.